Hi guys, welcome to the Frontiers. Once again, this is our second episode on this podcast attempt. The Frontier is a podcast where we talk about crypto, Web3 money, and where it's going in Africa. We dial it down, go down to the streets, talk to people, come here and have this conversation to inform you word on the streets, what is actually going on with crypto and Web3 in Africa. This week and this episode, we are talking about crypto education in Africa. We are driving down, finding out the narratives. Are we taking the right moves? What have been invested in the crypto education and awareness over time in Africa? And how we think it can actually be better and actually promote adoption. So today I have with me my guys, my friends, my people here. Isaac, can you care to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, Isaac here.
Yeah, Jeffrey, please, can you raise your hand?
Hi everybody, Jeffrey here. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad for this episode, and I'm really excited for what we have in store.
Yeah, sure. I actually want to say a big shout out to all our listeners. We kind of like our very first episode was very massive. We had over 100 people listening in to the first episode. We have so many comments, reviews coming in. Just know that we are taking all the reviews and comments and we're putting it to work over the next few months and weeks. We're going to make this podcast more better. So let's get to it, right? Education, crypto education in Africa. What is going on? What has been done, and how can we make it better? Because I have this view. Because many of the conversations we have here in this podcast are actually, how will I say, actually continued conversation we've had in the company as a team, and we're bringing it up for everybody to come and join and kind of like hear or be informed and join us in these conversations. So we have this notion internally that crypto education in has hit, well, I say it has hit the climax of how far it can go. Right now, we need a new narrative around education, around the audience, the target audience, and who should be the target audience, and who the education should actually be targeted to. We have this education should be focused on regulators and the developers and business people. And we have folks saying that education should be focused more on mass people, the mass end users for mass adoption. I don't know. I think I will start from Jeffrey, what he thinks, how education is going on the continent in terms of crypto, and how do you think it can be improved, and just drive us.
Okay, yeah. Thanks very much for the introduction. I feel like crypto education in Africa is definitely at a standstill. Not a lot of people know about technology, much less of talking about it. So there's definitely still a lot of room for improvement in that front. I feel like it starts with the masses and also with companies. Companies have to get use cases for blockchain technology. Companies which understand blockchain technology, they need to get use cases which can apply to the masses, not just glorified use cases of blockchain technology. But like we said in the last, use cases of Africa is different from use cases of the West. So we definitely need to get use cases in Africa that applies for the African man, that applies for the Nigerian man. Then from there, once the local man starts using this technology, then then that's where they get more interest into the technology, and the education is easier because since they're already using it, they can easily learn more about it. So yeah, education is at a standstill now, and educating the masses is definitely going to be a very big step in adoption in Africa.
Yeah, I just want to get into what you said, right? You said something about educating the masses. I just want to understand, like, how do you mean? Is it like going out there, typically having seminars and telling people crypto, this is what crypto is? Like, what do you actually mean by kind of like educating the masses?
Okay, yeah, that is kind of like a way that you can go about it. But also a lot of people right now use a lot of Twitter, social media basically. So not a lot of content is made about tech in particular, but like, yeah, some contents are made about tech, but I don't think I've ever seen any content created about blockchain technology or even emerging technologies like AI. You don't really see that kind of content. It's mostly shorts form comedy skits, that sort of thing. So I feel like if you can have social media like a presence on social media that is creating content about blockchain technology. Since I feel like social media is like the number one source of information for Nigerians, or not just Nigerians, like the world in general. So definitely anything that is put on social media, which is definitely informative, is definitely going to reach out as way more people than seminars or workshops, and at a faster that pace. So I feel like that's definitely like one of the easiest ways, or one of like definitely like one of the easiest ways we can educate people.
That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense, honestly. Yeah, because I would like to back what you were saying with more like a statistic. So over the weekend, Dennis shared something with me. So it's about a report for by consensus where they highlighted they took a survey of people who are aware about crypto, and from what they understood was that out of 92% of respondents that reported awareness of cryptocurrencies, only 8% were familiar with the concept of Web3. Or basically, only 8% are familiar with anything concerning crypto. They don't actually understand what crypto is about. Well, most of what you see on social media is, or even on YouTube, mostly YouTubers just talking about certain cryptocurrencies or just making hype videos about cryptocurrency and not actually making educative content that should actually educate people and make people understand more about Web3 and more about cryptocurrency to be able to understand how valuable the blockchain is. So it's very important that the content that should be put out should be content that would actually educate the masses, and not just educate the masses, but also educate the regulators themselves, because it's very important that these regulators get the actual idea of what blockchain can do for them, and not get these hype videos that we just come and make noise about crypto. So I think it's very important. That's one very I would like to back Jeffrey's point with.
I have a very different view from everything you guys have said, right? Because I just believe that you don't really need to do mass education. You don't need to social media content. Nobody did education for fiat. Nobody did education on how to use an Apple phone. Nobody did an education on how to search things on Google, right? Like, nobody did an education on how to use Spotify. Nobody did an education. Nobody taught you how to use the phone you're using. You just grab the phone, and you find yourself around it. So look at what I believe, right? I believe that the education right now, everybody knows about crypto. Some people have heard about it. Some people are familiar with it. Like trying to, because my concern for the industry or for the system, for the ecosystem is that we strive to make everybody understand crypto the way we do. Like, let's say you're a crypto freak right now. You're always on Twitter talking about this coin. The education we actually think of is when we make every other person become a hardliner for cryptocurrency. That is not true. I think the education should be from a value standpoint. There is no need. I don't see the importance of you going to teach somebody about Bitcoin halving. They say a trader in the markets that is looking to move money. You are teaching him about Bitcoin halving, or teaching him about node staking, on-chain staking, liquid LSD staking, and the rest of that. I don't see what that person needs that for, or telling him the difference between L1 and L2s. I don't see why that person needs to know that. I think crypto education should be from a place of value. What does it provide for me as a business person? Number two, it should be something that you be prototyped. It should be productized. Like it should be a product. It should be a platform. It should be something like Jeffrey mentioned earlier on. It should be a use case. Okay, we have so many guys in the computer village here that have issues trying to buy things from China. It doesn't make sense for me to go and meet them and start telling them that stablecoins can actually help people. It makes more sense for me to actually build a product, meet them, and tell them, just give me your Naira, we can help you get it to China. You don't need to disturb them with the complexity of how the stablecoins is not tokenized and the real world assets. They just need to make sure that the money gets to the destination of where they need to get to, and they come back. For me, that's where I think we are failing this with education or something. We lay more, because as I mentioned earlier last week when I was discussing with Isaac, my commission was like, what is the North Star metric of crypto education? The North Star metric of crypto education is adoption. That is the end goal of what we're trying to achieve. So I believe the best way to actually achieve that is not by going around and talking about it. It's by building product that makes it simple enough for people to be able to adopt these technologies faster and better. I think that is way more powerful than any social media content you're ever going to create. I don't know if I'm making sense, and also carrying the leaders along.
Yeah, I
Because if you guys,
so like, because
if you guys, yeah.
Sorry, I like to, I want to mention something. So like, I feel like I understand what you understand. Okay, just let me allow you to learn.
Ahead. We had this conversation with one of the companies we worked with at Yuki, right? Where the CEO of the company doesn't understand anything about crypto. Like, he doesn't know anything about crypto. He's going to build a crypto product, but he doesn't know anything about it. So the only thing he's seen is we can use this stable coin remittance. He's heard all those things, but he doesn't actually know anything. Like, as a business person, right? As an entrepreneur, as a builder, as a founder, as a CEO, I think we are going to make much more impact focusing on those people, educating them down the weed, explaining the nitty-gritty, than explaining the nitty-gritty to the common person on the streets. I think I made my case, so anybody can just pick it up.
Yeah. So so like I really understand what you said. So there's something I wanted to add. I should have added when I said we need to explain how valuable blockchains are, because when we're talking about how valuable blockchains are, we need to actually explain the value. Like, okay, this is the right way you can use it to. Okay, of course, this if you are planning to build, this is what this thing is, and this is the value you can provide to your customers, and this is the value you can provide to your customers. Not to go ahead and, like you said, we don't need to come and start explaining node this, node that, because that they don't need that complexity for them to come and adopt crypto. They need that complexity to come and adopt crypto. And I would also add, there's a way we all, most of us, we've all become quite tech savvy at this point. It was in earlier, if you made use of Java phones at the time when you buy a Java phone, before you make use of a Java phone, there's always this tutorial that you have to go through before you start making use of the Java phone. It was very common those days, even when you open some new applications. They first of all show you how to make use of these things, help you understand this is what you need to touch, this is what you need to touch for you to make use of this. I think that's very lacking nowadays for most applications, because those of us now, we already went through this process earlier, and all these things it's very easy for us. When we come across these things now, we just come across it, and once we play around with it, we understand it once abroad. Because let me give you an example. It was about 2 months ago. I was playing around with one of these exchanges, and then I was trying to do something on that exchange. And then I was scared because I was making use of real money on that exchange. It was quite even for me myself. It was quite complex. It was more like, okay, well, I should go ahead and try it now. There was no tutorial anywhere for me to understand what I was trying to do. Anybody that has not used Web3 before would definitely not know what to do with that application or that website. The person would be lost and we would not participate at all. But because I had some little bit of understanding, and that was I did this, and I was successful. It went fine. I was like, okay, fine. But I think that's one thing that needs to be implemented nowadays for a lot of these applications or a lot of these crypto services that we begin to offer. Because if you pick up a wallet, if you pick up MetaMask, you don't understand what to do with MetaMask if you have not made use of MetaMask before. When I think it's very important that by the time you open MetaMask and you want to make use of MetaMask, it should show you give you some tips on how to make use of MetaMask. Tell you that, okay, this is what you click if you want to transfer. This is what you click if you want to send. Okay, why is this? Why are you setting this gas fee at certain price? most of the things nowadays it's too difficult to use all these things. See,
I think Jeffrey, I think you can actually come in here, right? I think crypto education has a lot to do with UX, because that is why I always say this: designers are very important in crypto. They are so very important. Like product, I think I wish Joshua was on this call actually. Like product designers are very, very important if we're really going to get to adoption, because if you're going to get the education is not just about, because when people talk about education, also create the content, do those ones, run around. I don't buy it, right? I don't really buy that slack. It doesn't sell for me 100%. I don't know what you think, right? From the perspective, from the product standpoint, right? On the UX perspective, right? As a dev, you've worked with so many of these blockchains, smart contracts. Like, what do you think should be done, and how do you think, like, just your experience?
Okay, yeah, I feel like there's definitely a learning curve for anybody that wants to use any blockchain application, or anybody that's shifting towards using blockchain or Web2 applications, because the user experience, the platform is definitely visually is way different from what we have traditionally, like for example, like your bank apps, wallets, or a trust wallet is definitely visually different from like your usual than our usual bank app. And for most Nigerians, like the bank apps are like our major, or if not just major, like most people's only means of like transactions on their phones. So it's definitely definitely a very big learning curve. So as engineers, like you said, we need a lot of designers to kind of like bridge that gap, because right now everything is really complicated. Not too complicated, not everything is complicated, but the mainstream applications, there's definitely a learning curve for them, because a lot of people can't just pick them up and say, okay, yeah, this is where I can transfer crypto, this is where I can transfer to this guy, this is gas fees. You can see it, but like there's still like there's still a knowledge gap on how to utilize them completely. So yeah, we definitely need a lot of people to break that stuff down for
That's
break that stuff down for the users.
I still remember teaching my mom how to use Motorola phone. Like, I still remember teaching my mom how to use a Motorola phone back then in the day, right? So I just believe that let me just say this clearly, right? We should pay attention to designers. Like, we have so much focus on developers, blockchain writers. I think we should pay more attention to UI UX developers in crypto. Like, we should be able to have people that are focused on designing crypto-focused solutions, because I think that is where we break the learning curve. That is where we break education. Because say what you want to say about it, talk about what you want to talk about it. If we don't have product professionals understanding the technology the way they're supposed to understand, because one of the biggest concerns we have in crypto is that I believe that many of the designers designing crypto applications are just designers. They don't really understand anything about crypto. They are just being pointed out by the product managers. Very clear. I'm 100% certain about this. I've experienced it. I've lived it. It's not like I know about it because I have directed design and I've pampered them. So that actually breaches, like, it messes everything up, because when you give when a designer understands something very clearly, and I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in Africa, because we see a lot of product designers in Africa, they are not kind of like focused on a particular field. Like, this is the Web3 product designer, or like what we have in the West. Yeah, I think in terms of usability of Web3 products, we have more complicated user experience when it comes to the on the use case basis, on the interface basis. We have a lot more of complicated story than what we have in the West, right? I think the West has so much infrastructure in place to support with their products, the product that they launch. They have a lot of research. They have a lot of talents actually. So I think, look at it, right? I think crypto education should be one, focused more on developers, regulators, business people, and then designers. Because no matter how we talk about it, designers are the people that are going to design what people are going to use. If the designer does not design what anybody is going to use, no matter the smart contract you write, nobody is going to come to a task count to come and use it, right? So designers play a very big role. And I think we should give them that attention. Like, I don't know. I should be shouting it at the end of the podcast. Product designers are very important to crypto.
I think we cooked up a solution for crypto user interface that everybody's always shouting about. Everybody's always shouting crypto UX, crypto UX, crypto UX. The solution to crypto UX is carry along your crypto designers also. They need to be involved. They need to be involved because
they need to be involved.
A lot of them have interacted. Like, like Jeffrey, you said, you mentioned how a lot of us make use of our bank apps, and it's very easy for us to use. It's not complicated for anybody to make use of their bank app. So a lot of these guys have worked with all these other banks, new banks, and traditional banks in understanding how users make use of applications. So if you work with these people understand how users will interact with all these applications. They would understand how users will interact with wallets. So this way, it makes it easier to produce something that would not be complicated for people to use. It should not be complicated for people to use.
Sure. Yeah. Right, Jeffrey, our closing thoughts. Let us call it a day, man.
Closing thoughts. I feel like eventually these user experience definitely going to get way better to the extent that users will definitely not even really see the use of, like, they'll definitely still be there, like the public keys, the public address keys will still be there. But I feel like we'll get to a point where the user experience is so good that people don't really need them. Like, they don't really need to know them anymore. Like, you have your Ethereum public address, but like they don't really use it. Like, the user, like the owner of the address doesn't really like have they don't really need to have, because these are experiences that good. Because I feel like eventually progressive, because that's definitely one of the biggest hindrances for people that are just coming into crypto. They feel like the way the addresses work is kind of like a very big issue for them. Yeah, so I feel like that's definitely something that is going to, once that is resolved, I feel like that's definitely something that's going to boost usage, like, in a very, very, very big way.
I think I wanted to comment on the ENS domain names. Like, what do you think about? I have my own reservations about it, but what do you actually think about it?
Honestly, I'm kind of like, I don't really have any major reservations about them right now. I've still kind of like not really made up my mind about them, but I feel like they're definitely good for the community. They're definitely good.
Yeah, Isaac, closing thoughts. And what do you think about the ENS? If you have just quick.
For closing thoughts, for closing thoughts, like you said, you mentioned something earlier where nobody teaches us how to make use of our iPhones anymore. Like Jeffrey, it should get to a point where we don't need to teach anybody how to make use of their wallets anymore, because it would have advanced enough. If we work fine with our designers, and we'll be able to perfect what we need to perfect. And for the domain, for the names, so I think I was thinking about this thing during the weekend, and I thought that's going to be a very nice way for us to do away with a lot of addresses and keys and all of that, because all you need is just that one name, and then you should be able to receive your funds and stuff like that. That's my thoughts about it.
Yeah. Well, for closing thoughts, designers, education designers. That is the way to get to mass adoption. Let's be frank. If you don't design usable products, nobody's going to use Web3. So I definitely believe, I strongly believe that it's a progress. We're getting there gradually. The industry is developing. From where we are the last year to where we are now are no different. Everybody now understands the importance of self-custody, thanks to FTX and the rest of that. So I think we are growing as an industry, and we have a lot of challenges, so many things to be built in the future. If you're a designer, you're hearing this, and you want to get into Web3, reach out to us. Just try to reach out to us on LinkedIn anyway. We can only support you. I think it's always nice coming here to talk about this. I really wish to thank our listeners for listening in and commenting and reviewing. Give us a 5-star like on any podcast platform where you're listening from. From us to you, we say it's a good night for us here because this is around 9:49 p.m. here in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. It's a good night for us. From us to you. See you guys next episode. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.